Like, did you think I was just being dramatic or waiting for a response? Like,
Okay, start again.
no problem at all. We are leaving a pause in the recording so we can edit it. Hello and welcome to Tripping on Legends. My name is Christopher Balzano.
And this is Morticia.
And we are here with episode 137, Is the Ghost in the Details? I'm thinking I'm going to have to chop that to the ghost is in the details. Because I guess what I'm doing is I'm presenting this episode as if, do the details of a ghost story matter? And if you change the situation of the ghost story, does it change the haunted legend? Does it change the Does it change the actual haunting itself? So the obvious answer, at any point I'm going to be looking at all these cameras. The obvious answer is yes, right? Like if you change the haunted house, it's going to be a different haunting, or if you... But the stories that I'm specifically going to get into today are stories that we've covered on Tripping on Legends before, but something about them has changed dramatically. So, this is Morticia, right? She is potentially, like, this is like your interview. This is like your extended interview to see whether you can handle the intensity that is the bright lights of Tripping on Legend. Officially, I would say my fourth co-host.
Okay.
I'm going to... So I thought this would be a really good platform for you to express what you think about the paranormal because of these stories, right? So I know you. I know a little bit of what you think, but I don't know how you look at ghosts, how you look at hauntings. Like, we've had conversations, but we haven't necessarily, talked about, what do you think the nature is of the spirit world or things like that. Mm-hmm. Or whether you think this is all crap. And whether it's just fun to learn history and fun to, like, go out there. Is there anything you want to say about yourself to begin with? Like, do you want to introduce yourself, or do you want to have, like, just the opportunity over the course of the episode to throw in, like, little bits of Morticia? I kind of feel like you should talk about yourself a little bit.
Okay, well, right. Thank you. Thank you for having me, first of all.
Okay. You're not a guest, you're a co-host.
Well,
okay.
I feel like I'm a guest
all right,
today.
I gotcha.
But thank you. So, I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri. I was obsessed with Halloween. I've always been into the dark arts.
Now, what do you mean by into the dark arts?
So the dark arts, anything...
Are you witchy? Is that what you mean by the dark arts?
No,
okay.
But I do believe in witchcraft. I believe there's good and there's bad.
As we're literally sitting around with all these things, that have, like, witchcraft symbolism all around us. But, like, I'm not witchy at all. Just make sure you touch that sage before you come in and clean yourself.
I definitely sage.
I gotcha.
No, but I do believe that spirits exist. I feel like I have a couple that come to visit me sometimes over the years, an ex-boyfriend in particular, and now sometimes my mom, I think she drops in sometimes. But ever since I was a little girl, I just liked the dark side. I always thought that Elvira and Morticia Adams and Lily Munster were just the epitome of beauty.
Yeah.
And people...
And you're an artist in your own right.
Yes.
So...
Yes.
You want to talk about that?
So, I came from a family of artists. My mom, she was this genius seamstress. My dad dabbled in art all his life, and he and I both became photographers at one point. But I'm a body painter. I've been in the skin industry for 32 years. I just gave
So when I hear
age.
the skin industry, I think of something totally different than body paint. So
yeah.
You mean that what do you mean by body painting?
So body painting...
I meant pornography.
I mean, there's definitely body painting and pornography, too.
Let's get off the pornography. The phone's over there. It's far away from us.
No, body painting is just a different form of art. The human body is beautiful no matter the shape,
And
size.
do you paint yourself or other people? Are you more... I've always seen you painting yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the ones you do of yourself. But do you paint other people as well?
I do. I paint myself and others. I paint kiddos during the day, and then usually naked adults by night.
Okay, all right. We're going to move on from that because we've already said the word pornography, and now we're saying, painting naked people by night.
Well, you said porn first.
I usually am the one who says porn first anyway. And so I think that's a really interesting thing because there's a difference between, I think, loving horror movies and loving dark shows or shows where the main characters are the dark ones, the ones that aren't the rejects, right?
The
runaways are running the night. That's like one of my favorite lines. You know what I'm talking about? There you go. And so I've always, that's its own world, and it's interesting that how often that carries over into the paranormal world in terms of people wanting to do there's a huge difference I think between watching The Addams Family or even really being into like Nightmare Before Christmas because that's like the commercial big one, right?
Yes.
And wanting to go into a haunted cemetery and try to talk to someone who's supposed to be hanging out there.
Yes.
Right? Like
that's
on
totally
the surface
different.
it seems like they're the same thing. Right? But they're really not. So so you don't always find people who, and I'm going to refer to other hosts like while we're doing this just because we're trying to compare and contrast here. Like Nicole was very much into like her whole house. We would just use it as a set because everything in it was spooky. But you don't always find necessarily that that's what trans or if you look at the opposite side of that, someone who's not really into darkness, but who loves doing what we do.
Yes.
Yeah,
I like both aspects of it. I like put me in any kind of dangerous situation or spooky situation, I'm there.
So you think that no matter how intense things get, you'll be pretty okay with doing what we got to do.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
So it's interesting. Perfect transition. So I was explaining to you, and if you're a fan of the show or you've listened to the show at all, you understand the whole idea of like what tripping on legends means. And I have to explain it every once in a while just so people get it because I'm way too witty for my own good. That legend tripping is of itself it's an old practice of like going to places that were traditionally haunted or whatever, and you would go and it was a bonding experience between people. And it often like was a bonding experience or like a rite of passage of the town, right? So you go to this house, you knock on the door 3 times, or everyone goes to the cemetery and does this, on Valentine's Day because the woman's walking through, or like the most classic, easy example is Bloody Mary. Have you done Bloody Mary before?
I have several times.
All right, we're gonna have to do it in that bathroom later.
I think we should.
But this idea of, that there's something communal about hauntings, and I love that. And the idea was to go out and do what I do without equipment, but more into the spirit of urban legends and ghostly legends than hauntings. So when I was talking about like, you need to bring me things that you're interested in too, so you're not like, look, I want to go to this haunted hotel, and I'm like, everyone goes to the haunted hotel. Like we like to do things that are different than that.
I'm totally into the chase,
And by the way, if I'm talking and you want to talk, you can feel free to underneath the table like slap my leg or something, being like, I want to talk if I'm not picking up on it.
Okay.
These are little things you have to learn over the course of what we're doing. Continue, sorry.
Especially this old school girl here.
I got you. So a pinch on the leg. What were you going to say when I interrupted you to tell you how you could interrupt me?
What was I saying? No, I'm always for the chase to look for new things and kind of break some laws too in the process. I'm totally into that.
That's funny you say that because there's going to be a law broken in one of the stories that I'm going to talk about. But I'll get to that. But the second part of the tripping on legends is that I feel that the essence of tracking ghostly legends is you're going to screw it up. Like, you learn things, especially because 90%, regardless of the fact that I now have Haunted Southwest Florida out, 90% of the things we do are, I'm not a local. And I wouldn't even consider myself a local here. Like, I still feel like an outsider after 17 years. Crazy 17 years.
That's quite a long time.
But I feel like we're outsiders to most of this stuff, right? And so we're going to get things wrong. We're going to miss details, but that's beautiful. Like, that's like, because this is what the internet is saying, and then the local will say, what are you talking about? It's actually this. That's the joy. So rather than the majority of people who are doing shows who are like, I'm an expert on everything, I like to think that we embrace screwing up.
Well, absolutely. In the moment that you feel like you know everything in that field, you're a fool. You can't possibly know everything.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and so the funny thing about these things that I'm going to kind of initiate you on are mistakes or dramatic changes. Like, the second thing we're going to talk about, mistakes were made, right? But the first one is just that something has dramatically changed having to do with the setting of the haunted legend.
Interesting.
So,
okay,
I'm going to get into this.
I'm stoked.
Now, I want you to interrupt me as much as possible.
Okay.
And I want you to feel free to ask for corrections, anything like that, as we go. Because a lot of this, especially because these are two stories that I've been living with for a really long time.
Well,
That's one of them. That's part of the problem, is that I've been living with it so long. So I'm gonna get right into the stories, and you may have heard some of these, you may have read them, because I know you have read one of my books.
absolutely.
So the story that both of these stories are in my book. So I almost feel like this is a check to see whether you actually read the book or not. Now she's backing up. Like, she was really confident
No, listen.
in the fact that she had read them earlier.
I told you I had only read maybe a quarter of the first book. But it's
that is not what you said at all.
I did. I didn't say I completed the book.
You said you read the first book and you were starting in on the second one.
Well, it's not a complete read. I'm reading the first book.
By the way, were you able to share the stuff?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. So if you go on while I'm talking about the first thing, so if you go to, like, go back, hit that.
Ooh.
Ah!
Oh, there we are.
Okay, now you want to share that. So
Send request?
No. Just cancel.
Cancel.
And then just hit this button.
Ooh, look at that.
I know. Hit that button.
Oh, God. Is that going to show?
Yes, hit that button.
Oh, my God.
Wrong button.
You push.
That button. There you go. Okay, so just go. Oh, it's asking you to share with someone. Share to your story?
Yeah.
Okay, find it. Sorry, interruption as we're trying to figure this out. Can you turn the volume up on that, though? There you go.
Okay. All right. And then...
Okay, let me see.
Yeah,
Okay.
You handle.
All right, you be talking about yourself. I'm not really
keep talking about myself. Okay, so back to the body painting thing, I guess. So I've been a professional makeup artist for 32 years. I went on tour with a couple celebrities back in the day.
What celebrities were you on tour with?
I went on tour with Missy Elliott and Lauryn Hill. I haven't shared that very much because
I know. What's up with that?
It's not all it's cracked up to be. It's
I gotcha.
But it was a great experience. I dabbled in skin starting there, and I consider that a skin thing. And then I got into dermatology. I worked in Mohs surgery for a long time, assisting in Mohs surgery. It's removing skin cancers.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then I'm an esthetician. So and that's what I do full time is aesthetics. And 32 years it's been in the skin industry, and I still love it. Like
you have to stop calling it the skin industry, though.
It is the skin industry.
I know it is, but it's supposed to.
Well, because it's so vast.
I gotcha.
There's so many things.
Okay, so we were having a hard time with that, so we're just gonna forget that whole thing. We're going to figure out how to do it. We'll do it better next time, I swear. This never happened to me before. So, the first story. If you have read the book, this is always a big hit. This is one of my favorite haunted legends because there's a lot to it. One of the very first places that we went to with Tripping on Legends was a place known as Oak Ridge Cemetery. And we went to Oak Ridge to research a Talking Mary statue who would maybe potentially tell you who you were going to fall in love with. But she would have entire conversations with kids. And then the big historical part of it was there's a memorial to the Royal Air Force.
Oh, wow.
Who died while training in Arcadia for World War II. Then there was a third story. So if you know me, if you followed this or whatever, you know the third story because the third story is the really good one, is the really meaty one, juicy one. Only problem was, and this is what we were talking earlier about different hosts, Natalie, no kid ghosts whatsoever. Like, that was her line. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, anything that involved kids, because she had 3 young daughters, she didn't want to get involved in.
Well, that's a tough one for anybody,
So,
I think.
It's really interesting, though, because I'm working on Haunted Southwest Florida, the kids version, and I realize, like, almost all of that book are ghosts that involve kids somehow. Because so many of them are stories that are post her leaving the show when I really got to explore those. Deanna, no problem whatsoever. Bring on the kid ghosts.
She was a rock star,
right?
With that.
So, and maybe that was a different mindset with her being a caretaker for kids and helping them actually grow through things because she was a kindergarten teacher. But in the back of Oak Ridge Cemetery, there are the graves of 7 children.
No kidding.
All 7 of these children were murdered on the same day.
Oh, honey.
So the story goes, the 7 of them were poisoned. Their father, James, this was in October of 1967.
So wait a second, they're all siblings.
Oh yeah, they're all brothers and sisters.
Same family, okay.
Same family, ranging from like, I think 2 to 13 or something like that. I can't remember the exact ages. But there's a range, right?
Okay. It's a big family.
It is. They were migrant farm workers working the orange groves in Arcadia. This is in Arcadia. And one came down sick at school. All 7 of them got sick. And over the next 24 hours, so 6 of them died on one day and the other one died the next morning.
Goodness gracious.
I know. Almost immediately, the father is accused.
Sure.
Mysteriously, all of this evidence pops up, including an insurance policy that he had signed only a few days before. So, all crazy sketchy because the policy hadn't even been processed yet.
Jeez.
Yeah. Right? So it's like, it sounds really good when you say it like, wahaha, he killed them for the...
Exactly.
I always say, I mean, I've told this story so many times. The father, no one except for the police and the authorities believed that he had done it. Right?
Okay.
He loved his kids. He was known as like this crazy, like good father. He would sneak them candy and stuff like that. He had asked his employer, this is in October, he had asked his employer months earlier to start putting money aside every paycheck so he could buy the oldest one's bikes.
No.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
No one in the world thought he had done this. They came up with the insurance policy. Magically, a few days later, the poison that the kids had been poisoned with showed up in his tool shed.
Wow.
Right?
So what was it a plant? Was it a...
No. Completely overlooked in the whole thing was the fact that all the kids had come from the babysitter who was on parole.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
For having killed her husband.
Ooh, girl.
With poison.
Ooh.
Right? Like, everyone knew she had done it. Everyone knew she had done it.
Oh,
but we're talking race relations in 1967, South Florida. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, he was railroaded. He ended up spending 21 years in jail before he was exonerated and released. He was sentenced to life in jail. He actually, I believe, was sentenced to death. And then they changed the law. Like, he was right at the cusp of where they changed the law. And he ended up getting life in prison.
Oh, my God.
He was exonerated in 21 years later in 1989 and released. Oddly enough, the major force, and I actually I had seen this a few times, but it just happened to be today when I was kind of like, because I always forget the dates of things, that Janet Reno was the woman who actually led like the prosecution, like reevaluated from the prosecution's point of view, so from the state's point of view, to get him freed. So
I feel
way
like
to
I
go,
know the
Janet
story.
Reno, and Will Ferrell, who does a great Janet Reno. So Richardson is so the story continues. There's a really great documentary on Tubi about it. He's set free, and he is promised money from the state. He never gets the money from the state.
Oof.
He ends up doing the talk show circuit, and he had, between people lying to him and managers, he basically never made the money back that he was supposed to for being this exonerated prisoner.
There was no suing involved.
There
He
was
just
no
said,
suing. The way that
said,
it all
"Forget
played
it."
out, like, he never got any money for this.
Wow.
And all the money because obviously once he got out, everyone wanted a piece of him.
Yeah.
This is your time, 1989. Yeah. So you're talking like, Geraldo and Donahue, and they're all clamoring for him. And you can watch him on the documentaries, and he's just sad. And the Richardson children, however much we want to feel for them,
Yes.
and it's a sad story, right? They seem to be doing just fine.
Oh.
Because the Richardsons have found each other in death.
Wow.
The legend goes that, especially when the sun goes down, orbs of light come from their grave and they play with each other. So these orbs of light are seen dancing with each other, jumping up and down, playing hopscotch, playing leapfrog, right? In addition to that, if you go there with toys, the toys will be played with by the kids. So you'll actually, like, if you leave something there and you go and do something, you come back, like, the little truck has been moved to the other side of the little plot that they have back there and everything. Now,
so I'd love to drop off some toys for those kiddos.
I'm with my daughter. Every time I go to Oak Ridge, she knows it because her stuffed animals mysteriously disappear. The best part is you can play hide and seek with them.
I'm down for that.
So you actually go there, you go to the plot, you close your eyes, you count to 10, you say, "Ready or not, here I come," and you will literally see, like, the scattering, like, wisps and, like, shadowy type things and balls of light, orbs flying. You'll see what looks like little kids peeking from behind headstones in other parts of the cemetery. All of that kind of thing, right?
So happy kiddos. They were happy
Yeah,
kiddos.
you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, and while poisoning is not the most enjoyable way to go, it's not like they suffered. Like, for a really long time, they were sick. They literally died within 24 hours of having been poisoned, which is horrible. But
It is, but at least there's a little bit of kindness into that death. I feel like,
right,
in her horror story or her.
yeah, I don't think she was thinking I'm
her
going to do it the
darkness.
nicest way possible.
Yeah.
I think that was just her preferred weapon. Then you can go back and you say, now it's your turn, and you go and hide, and they try to find you.
Okay.
So we've done this legend, right? So I've been to the cemetery itself probably at least 15, 16 times. But Tripping on Legends went out there to do the Richardson specifically. I went there with my kids as well for Tripping on Legends with kids. By the way, if you want all the details, because I'm kind of giving you an abbreviated version, this is episode 60 of Tripping on Legends, where we first covered this.
Okay.
It's like episode 2 or 3 of the cemetery, but 60 is where we get into the kids. Deanna and I went there with good friend of the show, Richie. Now, he is an investigator. So he set up all his equipment there. He obviously, one of the things he has is the little teddy bear that the kids can manipulate. All of which went off. Like, all that video is out there on our YouTube for you to see. And Deanna and I were like, yeah, forget all that. We want to play hide and seek. So we did the hide.
That sounds like her.
We did the hide and seek part of things, where we didn't see any kids.
Okay.
When we both hid and felt kids tugging at our shirts.
Oh.
So that was really cool and a really good confirmation of the legend, right? But the interesting thing is about that night is that, do you know what a Kinect is? You've got kids. Do you know what a Kinect is? Like for the Nintendo or Xbox or whatever it is.
Yes.
It's the thing that reads people so that you can play games and you move your body and it controls.
Exactly.
So a lot of investigators use that and point it into an empty room. And if all of a sudden someone comes walking in, the Kinect is literally looking for, a human to interact with, right? To connect with. So a lot of investigators use it. It was crazy. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know
it's
that.
like one of the popular
All right.
things. I'm not sure if it's as popular now, but especially for years, it was a really popular thing. So Richie has all of this footage of us playing hide and seek, like us doing the counting thing. And then all of these it actually looks as if like people crawling on the ground. These little figures crawling all in front of his Kinects, like low to the ground.
Very cool.
Like 3 or 4 of them during that time.
No kidding.
So it's whereas we don't, if technology gets in the way of us observing and experiencing, but that was a pretty cool technology thing.
Yeah.
I'm doing promotional work for the new book, and so one day I just go to Arcadia and I just shoot stuff in all of the Arcadia locations that are in the book. And so I'm at the Richardson children, and I noticed something different.
Ooh.
Other than the fact, it was a lot less cared for than it had been in the past, which was kind of disturbing because people have kind of like take that plot, as almost like a community like under their wing, like making sure that plot is really cleaned up. So it was a little dirtier, but it could just be because it was summer.
Neglected.
Yeah, a little more neglected. And there were deer all over the place.
Aww.
That was the crazy part. I'm like from here to the wall over there from the deer, and they're not moving. They're like coming towards me. I'm like, I'm a human. We're meant to kill you. Like, anyway, I had never seen a deer there.
You saw several?
Oh yeah, like there were 6 deer. There's a video of me like talking to the deer, being like, "What are you doing here? Go away." Dad is now in the cemetery. So James died in September.
Oh wow.
Of 2003. I'm sorry. Yeah, September in 2003.
And so wait,
James died.
How many years is that after the children?
Are you making me do math now?
Yes.
23 plus 33 is what? 56 years.
Wow.
That's damn good. Did you see how fast I did that?
Good.
So 56 years later, he's reunited with the kids.
Yeah.
He is now in the cemetery.
Okay. Is he buried close to them?
Oh, he's buried in their plot.
In
the same exact plot where all the children are.
Okay.
There's now a bigger headstone. I'll post a picture of it. But there he is, right there, reunited with his children. For the first time in 5 decades.
And what a life he resided, living most of that in prison.
Yeah.
For
21 years of it, and the rest of it.
That's a long
I know that he ended
time.
up in Jacksonville. He was in Jacksonville for a really long time. I know he remarried, but I don't know where he died, where he was when he died. I'm not sure if he left. I always used to say he left the state of Florida. And then I was corrected when I saw the documentary that he spent a lot of that time in Jacksonville. So I'm not sure if he left. I mean, that would be an easy Google search if it was important, overly important. But I was wondering your thoughts on how you think, how you think the haunting might be changed now that Dad's back, and B, I don't know if I did one or A, but whatever.
No, you didn't. Yeah.
Whatever it is, keep going
one.
with it. Do you think this is a legend trip, especially being Arcadia, so it's not too far away? Like, I'm not even finished the question, and she's got a smile. That we should do. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally think so. And I think Dad dad arriving changes things a little bit. You know, the kids probably love their dad so much. I mean, they were littles, right? So, you know,
And
he
it
played,
said that like he was a really good dad and all that stuff like that.
yeah, I mean, just having your dad back at such a young age, especially, I mean, that's the best time of your life. I feel like that's when you're, you know, you can still be a kid, especially like if that was in today's time, you know, with cell phones and social media, it would be different. But at that time, that didn't exist. So they were still able to be littles and play outside and do all those fun things littles do. And so, yeah, I would have loved to have my dad back. I think that changes the energy completely.
So I think Joy's got says a really interesting point, which is there, regardless of anything, he's bringing a new energy in, right? Mm-hmm. So he has an energy of his own. I don't think, died a very happy person in terms of like, you know, I was exonerated, so now my life is good. I think he was bitter and sore. That's what I got from the documentary. So that energy of him is coming back in.
But not only did he lose some of his own life, but he lost 7 children. I mean...
And when that happens and you're all of a sudden in the court, do you really have a time to grieve? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're doing your grief, not with family and friends and community, but from a jail cell.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. You know, even... You're not supposed to lose a child before you die as a parent. Right. You're not supposed to. But 7 children?
7 children. His whole family.
I've
never been able to quite get what happened with the wife.
Yeah.
But, I mean, and then the other part of that, so if you look at it from a different perspective, is dad being there creating some kind of peace? So in other words, might dad being there completely stop the haunting? The haunted legend will go on forever. Right?
I don't think
but
the haunting
actual
will stop.
like the actual haunting itself, that maybe those kids, like, we think it's really cool because we get to go play with them. But that's sad that those kids have not found peace, right? Like, depending on your perspective of...
Well, who's to say that they didn't find peace, though? If they're hanging around playing, who says they're not at peace?
I'm with you.
The poison acted fast, right?
Yeah.
So maybe they didn't know a difference.
Well, that's what maybe that's like dad's coming actually helps them move on.
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, you know, littles aren't always aware of what's happening. Maybe they don't even know that they're dead. I mean, think about it.
Right, and if dad comes in, is dad go, like you're saying, residual energy?
Yeah.
Does dad coming in settle them?
Okay.
Does dad coming in join them? Like, is he able to find some kind of happiness in this and continue to play with them? You know what I'm saying? Like, in other words, we're not in the living anymore. It's time to move on somewhere else. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he acts as like the guide.
Yeah.
I like to think of it.
Have
you ever seen Jacob's Ladder?
Not in a very, I don't remember.
Right, but at the spoilers, if you've never seen it, he's dead the whole time. And Macaulay Culkin, who's his son, walks him into essentially heaven, right? Like, because Macaulay Culkin's spirit has already come to terms with it. That's his son in the movie. And so and it's the most adorable thing to see, like, Macaulay Culkin pre Home Alone. Mm-hmm. So this is like his first movie.
He's little.
I think it was even before Uncle Buck. And Tim Robbins, who's like 7 feet tall. You know?
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking? Tim Robbins.
Yeah.
And Macaulay Culkin holds his hand and goes, "Come on, Dad." And like starts walking him into the light.
Maybe I haven't seen it.
Is it that? I mean, that's the nicest thing that happens in the movie. The movie's not known as like a nice, peaceful movie. It's known as like demons chasing him the whole time. Yeah. One of my favorite horror movies of all time, by the way. Could the kids give him peace or him give them peace? Is it going to be quiet there now?
You know, it's fun. Yeah, it's interesting or funny that you say that because I don't think it's going to be so much as the dad giving the kids peace. I think the kids are going to give him peace.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, like I said, I don't think the kids really know the difference. You know, they're playing, they're having a good time. Dad has been suffering for years without his 7 children.
I don't think they gained any, superior knowledge in the 60 years since they were killed. That they're walking around the cemetery with this deep understanding of philosophy because they've been ghosts that entire time. Otherwise,
Yeah.
they wouldn't play with the Matchbox cars that I leave there. They'd be like
Yeah.
I don't know, sitting on a rock or something. I don't know, but so that is a potential. Would you go and do that again? And try to connect with Dad and the kids and to see whether or not there's still something there.
For sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I like
for
how the
sure.
face just went, what?
Yeah, like,
What are
is
you
that a
kidding me?
real
Why would I not
question?
do that, right?
Is that a request? Of course.
Yeah, I mean, of course, that cemetery you're not allowed to go into after dark. But we've been there after dark, but we've also been there during the day and had the toys move and stuff like that. So it's
Interesting.
definitely something. And I also
Yeah.
feel kind of like I've been there so much that I'm like the creepy uncle. Like they know me, you know?
Uncle Chris.
Oh,
Uncle Chris.
Okay, so if my niece, oddly enough, my niece is going to be mentioned twice. My niece used to call me Uncle Funkle Buckle Knowledge. I have the slightest idea how I got that nickname. It's like usually nicknames are short. No, she called me Uncle Funkle Buckle Knowledge. So yeah, I've been that creepy uncle. So I know that. I know all about that. I'm good with that. So that's something that we could definitely we could kind of get your teeth, I was going to say get your teeth wet. Get your feet wet, get your teeth kind of in the game by going to do this one, which is comparatively to some of the things that we've got coming up local.
I like that.
Yeah?
Yes. Take me. And I like I said, I'm so always about breaking laws.
And you have connections with kids.
Climbing
Like you said,
fences. And
you said before the sexy stuff, you paint kids
I
during
paint
the
kids
day.
too. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
so
Birthday
that might be that
parties.
have that kind of energy to it too. So like
Well, maybe I can bring some paint.
obviously you're gonna bring your face paint, your kid
Yeah.
face paint,
It's
not your sexy
water-based,
paint.
so-
All right, beautiful. So that's something we could definitely do. So that might be a very interesting first legend trip for you.
I
Because
really
there's
like
something part of it is that it's a definitive area. There's something to do, which is kind of like the essence of legend tripping. Whereas the second one that we're going to talk about is a little bit more nebulous.
that. Oh,
So,
okay.
all right, check your calendar for when you can do that.
You got it.
The next one, I almost feel like I should apologize because this was episode 12, 13, and 14. So if you're looking for information, and I re-listened to episode 12 and 13 and part of 14 in preparation for this.
Well,
And so I had a very different approach to how I was going to talk about this. And I'm like, let me put in the old episodes of these to listen to them just to get some of the details. Now, you have the files in front of you
I do.
from, this was at the time especially, but even now, at the time, was ridiculously researched. There were, and this, by the way, is not even all of the stuff because I ended up going going to the libraries, looking through a microfiche, because it wasn't digitized, trying to track this stuff down. And this legend is a shit show. And I've always had an issue with it, but I tell it in a way when I do library talks and stuff like that makes it really fun and people really like it because there are two different variants of this legend. But with dozens of other ones hidden in there. So, what I want you to say, you are going to guide this.
Okay.
Do you want to hear it as a story first? Here's the story of the Singing River of the Singing Manatee River in Bradenton? Or do you want to get the path of discovery?
I like storytelling, or
Okay.
I like to hear stories. So story first, please.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I feel like you should grab a blanket or some cocoa or something for this. So there is, in Bradenton, Florida, there is this river known as the Manatee River. And for centuries, people have called it the Singing Manatee because in certain parts and at certain times of the month, certain times of the year, certain times of night, you hear either what sounds like someone singing or what sounds like the hum of harmonic music. like not like.
Soothing.
Although in one description it's described as telephone, like what you would get underneath electrical wires or telephone wires, but definitely it's called the Singing Manatee, not the Humming Manatee. So there is this kind of thing like that it's more rhythmic and has harmony, and as opposed to just being a noise.
Okay, yeah. Well, it sounds soothing. So it would be a soothing sound. Nothing.
Well, we'll get into that. I'll let you make the decision of whether it's soothing. Now. So I'm going to tell you the story the way that I tell it now.
Okay.
In presentations. So the story goes, on one side of the Manatee River, on the north side of the Manatee River, are the Timucua tribe, and on the south side is the Calusa, and those two tribes did not get along. Be careful of looking here when I'm in the story part, because you're going to be like, wait a minute, that's not what this says.
Well,
because
maybe
that's kind of what we're talking about today, right? So they didn't get along. But the one place that was like neutral territory and where they would trade was physically in the river, right? So they would do their business in the middle of the river, and like in one of those transaction times, the son of the Timucuan chief fell in love with the daughter of the Calusa chief.
Oh, okay.
Right? But they were not allowed to be together because the two tribes hated each other. Blah, blah, blah.
Romeo
and Juliet, yes. Right? Okay.
Classic.
So, classic.
Classic.
Although I refuse to teach. Anyway.
Classic.
So, they would escape at night. They would, like, kind of run off, and she would come from the south side, and he would come from the north side. They would meet around the middle, and they would, you know, I'm sure, just kind of... Canoodle.
They would canoodle.
I would not have come up with that word. I was going to use some kind of euphemism for making out. Until eventually, like, their love grew. And he's like, we need to get married.
Oh.
And she says to him, I can't leave. Because I have drunk from the spring. And the spring of my people. And it is said that once you've had a sip of that, you cannot go on. You cannot live without it. Like, it'll constantly be calling you back. Your soul will never be satisfied. You'll never be soothed. And he kind of convinces, like he's convincing her, when all of a sudden this music starts up all around them. And this singing starts up that he's never heard. And he's freaked out.
Okay.
And she comforts him and she says, no. That is the song of my people. And they're telling me and telling us that our love is true and that we should do this.
Okay.
Right?
Oh.
And so he's like, well, but who's singing? And the story goes that there was a tribe that was invading. And the Calusa wanted to, they were outnumbered and they were definitely outstrengthed. And so they wanted to show how strong they were. So the oldest people in the tribe went to the shore and started singing. And as they sang, they began to walk into the water, ultimately like sacrificing themselves in the water, singing as they're dying from drowning. And that the other tribe was like...
Sounds like possession.
Dude, if that's what those people are willing to do, like, we're out of here, right? Like, you don't mess with people that are like, oh yeah? Like,
okay.
To me it reminds like Kaiser Sose, who like kills his own husband, his own wife. Spoilers if you didn't see Usual Suspects 90 years ago. Kills his family rather than be like, oh, you're going to try to blackmail me with them. Like, now they're dead. What are you going to do? Like that kind of thing. They're like, we are out of here. And so,
and it couldn't have been possession.
Don't stick on the dead people singing.
Okay.
Okay, because we could talk about plenty of that stuff, but that's not the. So the story goes that he then she's like, okay, like we're gonna marry, and so they go to his village, so Timucua, and then they have a good life, but she's constantly like that part of herself is there's a hole there, and so eventually. He brings her back, and the chief is so impressed that he unifies the tribes. And he becomes the chief of the Timucua, and I should say the Timucua of that area, because if you know him about Native Americans in Florida, you'd be like, wait a minute, the Timucuan of that area, and the Calusa. They live happily ever after. When the chief passes, it goes to the son, the guy who was the chief, the son of the chief, and if you go at certain times of the month or certain times of the year, you can still hear the singing.
Interesting.
And sometimes on a full moon, you can actually see the ghost of the two canoes coming from separate ends of the bank, meeting in the middle and vanishing.
So when's the next full moon? Because I signed up for this.
All right, so by the way, that's the most boring part of the story, okay?
Oh.
Because I always say to people, and so they lived happily ever after. Like, it's a ghost story. It's Romeo and Juliet the way Shakespeare never intended it, right?
This is what I picture. I picture like Pocahontas standing with the wind in her hair.
Hopefully it's not,
that was kind of Ariel.
Speaking of cultural misappropriation, fast forward, because that's not the story that's being told now, right? Or there's another story being told. And that story is of pirates. So what's more Florida than the Calusa and pirates? So the story goes, there was this guy, I always flip his name, so I'm glad I have my notes here. There was a guy by the name of Pascal Miguel, who was known as the Butcher. Now, you know Spanish, right?
Sí.
So what is the Butcher in Spanish?
Oof.
Well, like butcher as in like killer, like...
I don't know no, I can't tell
you
you
were
that.
called on for one thing. And
I know.
I thought you were...
I don't have the name Butcher.
I'm just kidding. So he was known as the Butcher. He was bloodthirsty. He was smelly. He was like a disgusting guy, right? And he was being... And he had different... I don't know what that means.
The cook.
The cook. No, not the Butcher. Like the Butcher as in like he killed people. Not the Butcher as in like...
That's all I got.
And he makes a mean pork roast. No, like... So... Pascal Miguel, the butcher, had these different ships, and one of his main places of like hiding out was in the Manatee River. And so he would hit all up and down the Gulf Coast. He loved to go into the Panhandle, and in the Panhandle there was a Commodore who was obsessed with him, and obsessed with catching him, but he didn't know what he looked like, right? And so the Butcher used to actually like get off on like walking like behind the Commodore in like areas with the Commodore not knowing the person he was devoting his life to killing was
so
standing next to him, right? Through that, he fell in love, the Butcher, with the Commodore's daughter, Carlita or Charlita.
Of course he did.
Charlotta, right? Mm-hmm. Who we're going to assume for the sake of argument for this is blonde. He kidnaps her. He puts her on the boat, right? He sails back down, so from like Pensacola back down to the Manatee, the main Singing Manatee River. And oddly enough, she doesn't fall in love with him. So you would think the abduction and the kidnapping and the,
helps.
Didn't, right? Oddly enough. So knowing that she loved music, from all of his booty, he took out all the stringed instruments and he put strings across everything, especially like the porthole of the stateroom that she was locked up in. That way, whenever the wind blew, it would blow through the musical instruments, through these strings, and create this beautiful music, and she would be soothed. Oddly enough, didn't turn her on. No, didn't. And so he's kind of like, you'll fall in love with me or else. And so he went to go conduct another raid. And she realized that this was going to be her life. Like, he was going to kill her, or she was just going to be in captivity. So she escapes from the stateroom. She goes down to the hull of the ship, and she starts slamming holes into the hull of the boat, right? She then ignites the weapons, like the powder and everything. So there's a huge explosion. Wow. The ship starts to sink. In the interim of this, a storm has started. So the ship is sinking right? The wind is blowing through, and she's standing, knowing she can't make it to the shore.
Yeah.
She's standing there on the bow of the ship, singing as loud as she can as the ship sinks and she dies.
Oh gosh, that reminds me of the band that was stuck in the movie of the Titanic.
Yes, exactly. Right, like playing the violin while the right.
We're just gonna
right. Just go. What else are we gonna do? We're gonna play. We're gonna die. And then I always ask, okay, who likes the pirate story? And it's always the pirate story. Everyone always says they like the pirate story better. So I'm gonna go
Very
from
stoic of her.
Right,
Yeah.
then kind of like.
Yeah, just I'm done.
That's the story. I've been telling that for. We originally did the episode, I think in 2000. I'm not looking at anything. I'm thinking. I think we did it in 2016. So we're talking like 9 years ago. I think it was maybe 2017. 8 years ago is when we first did this legend. So episode 12 and 13, and then 14 is when we took the kids. I have gotten so many of those details wrong. Not only from the legends, of which there are several. So that kind of mistake is allowed.
Okay.
I listened to episode 12, and I'm like, oh yeah. Why do we, like, yeah, that's wrong. Wait a minute here. Like,
Yeah.
whatever happened to that? Or where the hell did I get the idea of I'm trying to think of one of the details. Where did I ever get the idea that he was off the boat, the butcher was off the boat, walking with the Commodore, like taunting him? I have no idea where that part of the story came from. Am I just a liar? Can I not be trusted? Like, so I get like little pieces here and little pieces there. I don't generally tend to just make crap up. What were you gonna say? I totally interrupted you.
No, I mean, who's to say that they're necessarily mistakes?
Okay, so when I say mistakes, I say literally, here's a point that we found in our research. Okay, let me give you some examples. Okay,
Let's do the examples first.
So as I was going through the episode, the guy is a Timucuan. He's from the north, right? Mm-hmm. So that made sense. However, if you know anything about the Timucuans, would you mind hitting that for me? Maybe it only lets me go for a certain amount of time. Yeah, it'll end in a little bit. That's what it's saying. Don't worry about it. Or you can just like turn it off. It does not make sense. So for those of you guys who are not from Florida, you just pull it off and like take it off. For those of you guys who are not from Florida, the Timucuans are probably the largest tribe in Florida, or were the largest tribe in Florida. And there are a lot of ghostly legends as to why the Timucuan go from like the largest tribe in Florida to non-existent very quickly after the arrival of the French and the Spanish. One of the things that's pointed out is there were no such people as the Timucuan. You can feel free to play with that all you want. There were no... Whoa, haunted music. We should play that in the background.
Yeah,
there were no Timucuans. The Spanish and the French called them that based on the language they were speaking sounded the same, right? So it would be like going to Central America and assuming it's one country because they're all speaking Spanish. Right?
Right.
Or all of Central and South America because you can't tell the difference between Portuguese and Spanish if you don't know it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, so they're just going like, oh, these people are all Timucuan. Whereas one of the conflicts I've had with this legend is the idea that the Topabogan are the ones that are in Tampa.
Okay.
Right? So from Bradenton to Tampa, that is. So if you imagine, it goes Bradenton and then Tampa, really. The Topabogans are the ones who are in Tampa. We've covered that with Safety Harbor and stuff like that. So where the hell does this Timucuan come from, right?
That's a good question.
One of the obvious issues with the story is that you don't screw with the Calusa. Like, literally, Hernando de Soto was like, I'm good. Like, he did not want to invade South Florida. that's why South Florida is dramatically different than the Native American history of above it, because they were scary and intimidating. So the idea of a tribe coming and taking over the Calusa, and the Calusa being like, let's show our emotional strength, is a little bit off.
I'm curious to know, though, how the Calusa just allowed the Timucuan to take over that territory after
It would never have happened.
the kids fell in love, though.
Okay, so here's the deal.
You know?
Wait, yeah, but here's the deal, okay? When I say things were wrong. So I looked at all these different versions of the Native American version. There is no reference to them fighting and not liking each other. Instead, what it says is that once a month, the Timucuan would come over and trade with the Calusa. And that the dad was more pissed that she was going to go away than the fact that it was his arch enemy that she was going away with. Right? So there was no, like, real war between these two. In addition to that, in almost every version of it, they go away, right? And then she gets tired, she gets homesick. He comes back with her and says, listen, like, we're in love. Can she come here every once in a while? And the dad is so upset that then a war breaks out. And once half of the Timucuan and half of the Calusa die, they decide to have this treaty at the end. So it's not as if they're at war, they hate each other, and then they decide to unify later. Like, it's really...
That story sounds...
That sounds a lot more...
true. I mean, it's... Because no parent is going to just say, okay, well, it's fine, you can marry my daughter now. And every, when you're enemies just don't say, oh, it's fine.
Now,
fine.
The other thing that's weird is... You ready to read?
Ready.
Is the spring has always been a point of contention. I also want us to, like, nothing in the original legend at all talks about where the singing comes from. There is no explanation ever given in relationship to this legend that explains where the singing comes from. Now, the exclusivity of it is also weird. If you can read that for me really quickly.
Many, many years ago...
I'm sorry to interrupt.
The highlight?
The highlighted part,
Okay.
yeah. By the way, this is, for those of you guys who know Florida history, this is a story told. So you're reading like a quote from a story told by a woman named Eva Gates, who is the granddaughter of Josh Gates. Not Josh Gates, that's the guy from Expedition. Josiah Gates, who kind of founded that area.
Ooh, okay.
So she's conveying this story as something that was well known when Grandpa came to town.
All right. Many, many years ago, a strange craft came gliding up the river as if in great fear.
Okay, don't read that part yet. Sorry. I got the wrong part. I'm sorry. So,
Stinker.
other parts that are weird. Now, keep in mind, when I say this, it's not as if like, wah, wah, I found it today. It's more of like, we were talking about this in the original episode, and somehow it vanished. The guy who we originally got the story from, Joe Warner, who's like, that's the, right over here, Joe Warner. That was like the first thing I was given.
Oh, okay.
He writes the once a month that they would trade. He also writes that it was a good omen, right? That it was a good omen to hear the singing. That the guy thought it was a good omen. Not that she was like, oh no, they're telling me they're blessing our marriage. No, like he's like, oh hey, they're singing. That must mean you should hook up with me. And then his bodyguard, which I totally forgot this part of the story. His bodyguard. Why are you fidgeting with all the toys?
If they're there, I'm gonna play.
All right.
Snoop Dogg.
The bodyguard comes and says, hey, like they're gonna follow us. We got to get out of here. And then they send her boat off into like so that she doesn't follow, but everyone knows she's there. But that was like a weird little thing. No music is is ever explained. Not only that, in almost all of the old versions of it, she has to hear the singing too. Like, she has to hear the song, she has to drink the water.
Well, yeah.
And then, like I
Package
said,
deal.
now, this was the beginning. I feel like you're not focusing.
I'm
This was the beginning. I got you.
It's
You're
hard for me
Snoop
to
on the
sit
stoop.
still, and I have to fidget
Well,
with something.
okay. This was the beginning of on the show. So this is a term you're gonna have to. I think you've already thrown it out to you. Hashtag follow the signs. Right. So here's if you're not you don't have to listen to the episodes. I'll tell you the craziest that happened. We started researching this, and then both Natalie and I were having these bizarre experiences with birds. Like, I started finding these dead birds in my yard, right?
Oh.
Natalie was driving down the street, and a bird flew into a truck and, like, exploded, right? And she doubled back to check on the bird or whatever, and, like, there were no feathers, there was no, like, mess on the truck. It never happened.
Oh, wow.
Like, it was this weird, like, hallucination. Maybe she was on the dope, don't know, like, what was going on, right? And so she typed in, very specifically, she typed in, what does it mean when you see a dead bird and it disappears? That's not there. Whatever it was a very specific,
Wow.
like, dead bird, not there, meaning, symbol, right? And the first response I think that she got was a reference to a book called The Singing River. The Singing Manatee, the Singing River. Like, literally none of those words are in it at all. Like, why did that specific algorithm exist? Birds, birds. And so this story is a nonfiction, but it's based on legend, talking about the tribe that I can't remember the name of in Mississippi, right? This tribe was going to ravage their tribe, the stronger tribe. And so all the elders went to the river singing and then killed themselves in the water. And totally... So this thing that takes place in Mississippi has become part of the explanation because I'm a jerk, because I'm an idiot, because it just became like so much a part of it that I forgot. Like...
Well, I think the story...
Because there's no reason for it. So I always
Yeah.
felt like there had to be a reason why the singing was there. Go ahead, sorry.
Well, it's just a bizarre story anyway.
Right?
Yeah.
Now there is a scientific explanation which I've gone through, which is I definitely have to look at this. Tannic acid washing over the palmetto roots, right? So there's some kind of chemical reaction that happens that causes what sounds like this music to be played. Now, when I was writing Haunted Florida Love Stories, or Haunted Florida Love Stories, I consulted a doctor in the field of chemistry, who's also my goddaughter. And she was like, yeah, imagine if you drop Alka-Seltzer into water. That's the kind of reaction that they're talking about. That's the noise that would be heard. And I'm like, I don't know how you can confuse that with singing at all.
Yeah, no. Not to me.
So, and the other big thing that I forgot was this whole angle of it called the croon of the manatee, right? And this idea of this mystic music of the manatee playing, they call it that a strange craft in the 1800s drifted into the Manatee River with giant wings, right? As if it was running away from something. Now, I've gotten this in several different places.
Giant craft.
Like, that's how they say a giant craft. Like, they don't say boat, they don't say airplane, they don't say, like, obviously it's pre-airplane.
So it's not a
UFO.
It's not an animal.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay.
They call it a craft.
A craft.
Because from the craft comes a white woman who has golden hair, so blonde, who picks up an instrument, begins to play, and then the craft sinks. Which sounds a lot like the pirate legend,
Yeah, it does.
Now, there's a word I forgot when I talked about the pirate legend, and that word is auger.
Okay.
Do you know what an auger is?
Like a.
I was just watching.
Like-
yeah,
like,
exactly, right? Yeah, it makes holes, right? The holes. I was just watching the Office episode where he goes, I don't even know what an auger is, man. I didn't know what an auger
put the
was
words.
either, like, whatsoever. I had to look it up at the time of it because she makes the holes with an auger. So could it be that she's also holding that auger when she gets to the top and the music is playing and it sounds like that? Now you can read the section here because
Oh,
now you
there
can.
we go.
So this, like I said, comes from Eva Gates.
All right. So many, many years ago, a strange craft came gliding up the river as if in great fear. Soon others followed in pursuit, and then the watchers from the shore saw a sight strange to them. Many queer parcels were quickly lowered over the side of the craft, all except two of the pale faces went ashore in canoes, and from below a pale-faced maiden, with hair like waving corn tassels, was brought to the deck. In her hand she held a strange object from which she drew most weird and lovely sounds. As the craft sank below the surface, she still played a haunting melody to warn anyone from the spot, and each year in the dark of the moon, in the month of May, is heard again the plaintive notes of the golden-haired maiden as she sank beneath the waves to guard forever the treasure buried there.
Huh?
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? So there are a lot of months.
it's
April,
wicked.
right? April and May are mentioned in this a lot,
Yeah.
right? As the months of it, but then also the full moon.
Mm-hmm.
Now the weird thing is this, right? So we became obsessed. We went out there as a legend trip. We became obsessed with finding Rocky Bluff because it said you could hear it best from Rocky Bluff. But Rocky Bluff is on the other side. It's on the Timucuan side. But everything says you can't hear it from the Timucuan side because it's a Calusa thing. But then the legend says they're on the banks of the Timucuan side when he hears it. And she's like, no, it's okay. It's my ancestors.
Yeah.
So we became so obsessed with where the hell is Rocky Bluff. You have to listen to the episode because it's actually pretty funny. Like, we get involved with this, like, drug dealing pimp or something trying to find it while we're out there. Like, all this crazy stuff. And then I'm telling you this for a reason, but when we went out there during the day, like with the kids, you could see one area that was like elevated above everywhere else because that's supposed to be where it is. But we became obsessed with finding where is this Rocky Bluff? Where are we supposed to hear this music? Like, can you hear it over here? Can you hear it over there? The other important thing to kind of set this all up is where is the spring?
Where? Yes.
Where? That's mad deep. So when we were looking for it, we were told
I
that
want to go swim in it.
you can't. Either way, you can't because rather than a spring, it's like a water. It's like a pump now, right? Like that's all that's left of the spring. They paved the entire spring over to make Manatee Road, right? So if you look, it's like we thought it was in the Manatee Springs like historical park. Every time we went there, it was closed.
It sounds like
right, like that was we 100% were like that's where it is.
Wow.
And then, like a few blocks away is the water. When we originally went, we randomly found right on the water, like the next block, this park. I'm trying to remember the name of the park. It's like Manatee Park or something like that. Or no, it's Manatee Springs Park or whatever it was. And there were all these signs talking about the history of it. And one of the signs told the story of the Timucuan and the Calusa girl, right? And it was like this beautiful thing. We went there. Now, in terms of hauntings, we went there and we recited this poem that's in one of these stories. And this eerie white light, like white fog, drifted over the water. And then we started to see a gigantic dark figure rise from the bottom of the water. Like we're literally at night watching it.
Wow.
Going like, and we have our YouTube video of it, like, what the hell is that? It looked like something like 50 yards away from us is coming to the water as this glowing fog is coming in and settling over the water. And that was before we heard the story of the pirate and the coming of the water and stuff like that, where we were kind of just obsessed with that.
Foolishly, I would probably just still stand there and watch.
We were standing watching
instead
it.
of running.
We were. I think our feet were even in the water.
Yeah.
Because because one thing you know, we go out there. I don't run. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I run.
What do I have to live for?
Still wouldn't run.
No, you're not, because I'm gonna have you tied up. You're like,
I'm leaving.
But again, the white skin, the all this stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of these weird connections to it.
So interesting.
Would you go out, and I'm setting you up for something, would you go out and do that?
Of course.
So, in addition to all the mistakes I've talked about in terms of like how we told the legend, and it might not seem that big, but as I was listening to the episode, I text you and I'm like, I have gotten this all wrong, right? Because like
it warrants a visit.
So I went to, again, another road trip out to Bradenton. I'm taking pictures of all these other things, including Bradenton, Castle Braden, which we should go to as well when we're out there. Tracking this legend down, kind of finding like, what the hell's going on here? Like, I couldn't recognize anything. Like, it was all weird. At one point, I was on this huge structure that was out in the water. That was kind of like you were talking about the spirals that lead up to the canopy bridge. It was kind of like that. It was like this huge thing out in the water, like this huge structure. And I'm like, how would I not have noticed this? And there happened to be like a kid at the bottom, like smoking weed. And I'm like, hey, you live here? And he's like, yeah, man. I'm like, don't worry, I'm not gonna tell you. I'm like, hey, when does this thing go up? Like, when does this thing go up? And he's like, oh, it went up like only a few months ago. And I was like, okay, that makes sense why I never saw it before. So I'm going around, and then I'm like, every single time we tried to get into that historical society, it was closed.
Can't do it.
So it was closed again. And I'm like, but the door was open. But it was closed for construction. So I'm like,
oh boy.
I go in. Trust me when I tell you, for 8 years I've been taking pictures like on the other side of the fence of this little shack that's supposed to be where the springs are. So I'm like, where the hell's the shack? I can't find it. I'm looking all around. And a woman, the least intimidating woman, but when someone's yelling at you, like they automatically become intimidating. She's like, you've got to get out of here. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Can I just, no, you can't take the pictures. I'm like, can I just take the picture? I just want to do like a video. No, get out of here. No. I was like, she's yelling at me. And so I was like, all right, like, I'm not going to react to you. Like, well, I could just, if I wanted to, I never have to go to Bradenton again. So I'm like, okay, listen, I wrote a book. I'm just ready to make some promotional videos. Can I just ask you a quick question? She calmed down. She was nice. I gave her a free copy of the book. I gave her a thing to put it for sale on the, and I'm like, all I want to do is, I can't find the shack. I just want a picture of the shack where the spring is. She's like, what are you talking about? The spring's not in here.
Oh.
I'm like, what are you talking about, right?
Yeah.
We got the location wrong of the spring for the last 8 years.
Oof.
The spring is in Mineral Springs Park, about a mile away and about a mile closer to the water. And it literally...
It makes more sense, right?
All it looks like is a bubbler.
Oh.
You know what a bubble is? That's all it is, right? But we got the location of that spring wrong the entire time.
Interesting.
It's right there. Only problem is, nothing else is.
Oh.
That park is gone.
Oh, how sad.
All of that waterfront is gone. There is a
How's the
large...
waterfront gone?
I'm glad you asked. It goes the water, and then it was like a neighborhood. And it was like this really cool neighborhood that were like these rundown houses that were like $500,000. Kind of like that feel to it, like driving on Captiva or something like that, right? All gone, and they're all condos.
Oh,
so
wow.
all the parks that were there, the little park that we had that had the thing to it, all the little signs and everything, 100% gone. And it's just gargantuan. So I went in and I'm like, hey, when were these built? Like, I went into the offices to be like, when were these built? and they were built in 2015. Does that sound right? No, that's what I got. In 2019. 2019, the construction started on them. So pretty much a little bit after we did the legend, they destroyed the entire neighborhood.
Oh my goodness.
Where the singing is supposed to happen, where you're supposed to get the singing.
And did any strange things happen that you could find out?
I could not. That's the next part of the research, is to find out whether strange things happened. But now I'm wondering, right?
Yeah.
In
you're
some ways,
a sacred.
And listening to episode 17 or 13, the one that was in the middle, where we talked about when we went out. One of the things we talked about was how loud the neighborhood was. One of the things I noticed when I got down to the water, because now there's a dock that goes all the way out to the water. There weren't docks that went all the way out to the water on the south side. Literally was like out there, and you couldn't even hear. The water was so loud. You know what I'm saying? Like in a good way. You know what I'm saying? So we now have complete access to the spring. Never had access to the spring before. So whereas all that area is destroyed, literally destroying the history. They destroyed all that historical stuff that marked the history of Bradenton.
How devastating for you when you went to go see. And
thank you. That was sweet.
I know. I mean, to go
it was more like I kept going, what the hell? Like, what the hell? Like, I haven't talked to Natalie in years, and I felt like being like, dude, it's all gone. Like, that's how I was like, I was moved. Now, my car was also breaking down too, which I'm going to assume is a coincidence. But it's like, so there was a lot going on, but I spent the whole day like this. Like, if you look at the videos, my hair goes from being like this to being like this to being like that, like, because I kept going places, what is going on here? Like, would you go do this one?
Of course.
Okay, but explain why. Explain what you think would be different, or.
Well, I think disturbing the peace and disturbing, ghosts is a no-no. Kind of, because that's their sacred space. So taking that away from them, I think creates another shitstorm. In a sense, I mean, are they still there? Are they roaming inside the building?
So one of the things has always been like, technology in modern era has kind of ruined the area because they don't hear the singing as much anymore. And this is like another, in one hand, it's like another step of that. But then the other hand is, it's not as if there weren't buildings there. They tore down the homes.
Yeah.
And built the condos.
Have you ever spoke to any of the residents? Is there maybe singing in some of the areas?
Well, I was already kind of going into this community.
Yeah.
It would be like if I came here and started being like, knock, knock, knock. Have you ever had, except for it was much more gated and passcoded and stuff like that. Like it was really weird because of the one part where the structure was, and I found out that structure was part of the condo. It was just on the other side, and I was confused about the geography. That it was like, it seemed as if it was low income on one section and very high income on the other section.
Interesting.
Which I guess is a lot like Bradenton anyway. So,
I've never been.
But I've definitely definitely didn't feel that I could go into people's houses and start knocking about that. Mm-hmm. But that sounds like a great mission for you.
Well, hanging out,
I think there's a difference between.
Their mail.
I think there's a difference between a woman going in and asking a question like that in that location than me being like, don't.
So
hi. And my air conditioning had blown up, so I was like all sweaty and stuff. Be like, hi, you hear singing? You got singing ghosts? Like, probably wouldn't have gone over that well. But I could definitely see how that's a mission I could send you on.
Okay, yeah.
So what do you think?
Yeah.
Should we go? Now, do you think we should wait until May to go on this one? Or do we think, because I feel like we should try to get all the tumblers on this one?
Yes. Yes. Since May just passed, we're going to have to wait a little bit on that, but I say
not.
Go prime
I mean, I like
time.
your idea of being like, well, when's the next full moon?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, yes.
Because I want to go out on that dock.
I say yes.
And I want to go out into that structure.
But then also go back in May too if I'm still in Florida.
Yeah. No, I feel like this is, I don't know why. I think because this was the legend where things really started to click for the show, where all of a sudden it seemed like the ghosts were talking back to us. Like we were getting all this information as if there was like a mission and something was leading us to try to look at these legends, because birds are flying out of the sky. And and so I felt like we were like really on this one. Like
the one that has me the most interested though is the 7 children.
Yeah, it's a great cemetery.
Yeah, I would definitely want to do that.
Okay, so maybe that's the one we do first.
I think so. That's the one I'm feeling.
That sounds like a one you're feeling?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So episode 138 will be like hide and seek with Morticia.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
Hide and seek for
I'm interested.
sure.
I'm very interested to see, and I think that's one where I would do like a lot of EVP work and try to connect with Pop and see if like there's something going on there. Because like really, like I said, the focus is like, does it change because of him? So.
Yes, I think that's definitely more than worth that warrants a visit for sure. I think,
and maybe we'll totally bring Joy along with us because she's dying to go.
Yeah, okay.
And she's like a psychic magnet.
The children giving the dad the piece, I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotcha. We're also gonna have to watch Jacob's Ladder before that goes.
Yes.
So until that, I know we've done the being as well, but we are on every platform now. We've just become part of the Para X family, so they'll be doing old episodes until they get like all the kinks worked out of the new network, because it's going under new ownership. Ron Kolick, if you know him, is going over it, and then we'll be airing our new episodes on there as well. But you can still get the new episodes on Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, like wherever you get your podcasts. We are now pretty much on everything. And please follow us on social media. You can go to our Facebook page, which is Facebook.com/TrippingOnLegends. Or my Instagram is Spooky Tripping. I wasn't sure whether you wanted to share your Instagram yet or not.
Yes, yeah. My Instagram is Morticia B Artistry.
And of course, you can go to trippingonlegends.com if you want to share any information or anything like that. So, listening to the old records but at a different speed sounds like it's a good time. My name is Christopher Balzano.
And this is Morticia.
And here's hoping that all of your trips
are legendary.
That was pretty good for your first time. Like you got a good rhythm with that.
All right.
Yeah. Do you want to do a little oom-papa? Just go toot toot.
Toot.
I was gonna give you another shot, but now I'm not. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will talk to you guys later.